Good morning again. So good to see you all and be here in person. Speaking of non sequiturs, my daughter is 12 years old and she is the master of jarring conversational transitions. So she's a master of being in a dialogue about a topic, and with startling suddenness, she can switch to an entirely different subject with no warning at all, as if the universe had a remote control for her and was switching channels in her brain. And now we are on another thought stream that is completely unrelated to where we were. And you have to try and keep up before the channel changes again. So one day she was about 8 or 9. We were talking about something, and I don't even really remember what the something was. It might have been about dogs or cartoons or her school day. I don't remember exactly, but she sucker punched me with a sudden, profound, existential sermon. We hadn't been talking about anything existential, I know. And she said this: now is like nothing. Have you noticed that? I said, what? She said, well, the second you know that it's now, it's gone. And she immediately launched into a visual demonstration. She said, now, now, now. And she said, all of those nows are gone. And then she went on talking about dogs. So now is somewhat like nothing, but actually now is everything. Now is the only thing of this life that we can truly have possession of. It's the only thing that we truly can hold in our hands. As we talked about with the chocolate, everything in the past that used to be ours, it's now relegated to memories, right? And those memories, even right after it, were flawed. Even the memories we had 5 minutes later were incomplete. They were selective. And if you're older than 15 or 16, you realize that those memories start to get more fragmented, more distorted, more selective. I have memories that I talk about that I'm not sure that I actually lived them. I heard about someone on NPR. He broke his leg when he was a child, but now his whole family swears he never broke his leg. But he is certain that he did and has a whole story about what happened, how it happened, and his recovery. So those memories, those things that we were so sure of, they're now gone, right? We don't have those. And everything beyond now is completely unreliable. It's far beyond what we can predict or imagine. I think I know how I want this afternoon to go. Chances are this afternoon is not going to cooperate fully with me. I'm going to have to adjust to this afternoon. So yesterday and tomorrow, they aren't really very much, practically speaking, ours, which leaves us in a really tough spot today. We have to figure out how to be fully and perpetually present as possible, to move from the regret of the stuff in our rearview mirror, to move from fear about the stuff on the distant horizon, and keep our eyes right on the road that's in front of us in this second. The heart of leaving the fear of the past, the regret of the past, and the fear of the future is being here and now. And the heart of this comes from two things today I want you to think about: attention and gratitude. Last week, we talked about not waiting for some perceived ideal set of circumstances in order to find meaning and joy and really embracing life, to avoid the temptation that we have to procrastinate away really living until some perfect and impossible scenario when we will be something enough, healthy enough, successful enough, financially stable enough, confident enough to be happy. And so this is going to mean for us today is putting down all the what wases and all the what might be's and hold on to the what is. And part of this for me is about a practice of asking questions over and over as I move through the world. The questions are simple ones. What am I doing right now? And answering. I'm watering these flowers. To actually say that to myself. I'm eating this chocolate bar by myself in the car later. But I can't do that now. I can't eat that now because it would be rude. So I think, what am I doing right now? What am I feeling? Who am I with? What am I enjoying? What is beautiful? What is difficult right now? What is painful right now in my body? Who am I grieving right now? I try to ask those questions and just answer them because it centers me right here. It places me in the present with things that feel good and things that feel terrible. You know why? Because the terrible things are beautiful too, because I get to have them. I get to understand the depth of feeling. I get to love so deeply that I miss someone. So as you begin to go through the day, pay attention to who you're with, to what you're doing, to what you get to feel, to what you get to experience, because the alternative is you're not here to do any of that. And our responses can root us here, and they can yield gratitude, even for the less than painful or comfortable things. You know, people use the term woke all the time now, right? Everyone uses it. People on the left, people on the right. They use the term woke. Some people means that you're socially aware, or that you're not perceiving problems about the world that you didn't perceive before. And some use the term woke as a compliment, right? It's a season of growth. They have become woke. Other people use it as an insult to demean other people. Now, woke as an idea is up for debate, right? But we need to make sure that what we are is awake. Awake and alive and available and alert and paying attention to everything about this second while we're in it. You know, we often say it's important to live every day like it's your last. That's a lot to ask of you. A day is long, right? It's too big a space to try and be present in all at once. So what I want you to try to do is think smaller about the things that could be your last. So many of you know my dad passed away suddenly 8 years ago. He was on a cruise for his 70th birthday and called me on Friday night, and we wished him a happy birthday. And the ship was getting ready to sail. And then it sailed away. And then Saturday morning, I got the call that he had died in his sleep. The way the morning unfolded was that my mom got up early, and he was still sleeping, she thought. And she said, I want to go get us coffee. And so she went downstairs and got them both coffee and set it on the table quietly. And then she waited, and he didn't wake up. So she said, get up. And he didn't move. And she thought he was just sleeping heavily or playing around. And so she went to shake him, and then she realized he was cold, and everything else unfolded. And one of the images that flashed in my mind as I heard that morning, and has remained to this day, is that cup of coffee sitting just a few feet from his body. Coffee that was lovingly made for him by my mom. Coffee that he would never get to enjoy. Coffee that went cold, and I wonder how long it sat on that table. It was there long after he was removed. If anyone even noticed it, if my mom had thought about it. And every day that cup of coffee reminds me of the way that death interrupts our plans without warning. It leaves so much unfinished, right? And when my father took his last breath in his sleep, There were so many things that were now forever undone, activities that he'd planned for the next day, flights back the following week, business trips that he'd scheduled, golf outings, retirement plans, meals with our family, a billion infinitesimal decisions that he would no longer get to make. So that sunset on Friday became his last. That dinner on the ship became his last. That phone call became our last. The hug I gave him at the airport 3 months earlier, that was our last. The goofy voicemail he left a week earlier became his last. And that after dinner coffee became his last. And I know that he would never have dreamed on that Friday night that that was his last cup of coffee, because if he did, I bet he would have savored it, right? I bet he would have drank it slowly and enjoyed every sip. If only we could get the gift of realizing that this is our last whatever, that whatever would be the best whatever we ever had. Might be my last bar of chocolate, and I'm going to enjoy it. So I have surgery coming up this Friday, and I'm going to be fine. Most likely, everything's going to be great. But it's also brain surgery. And someone said to me, it's routine for the doctor. I said, it's not routine for me, it's my brain. I was with the surgeon a week ago, and he was explaining to me all the complications that could happen, because that's his job. He has to tell me all the bad stuff that could happen. So I said, Doc, this is great. It's fine. I know you need to tell me this, but could you not tell me all the bad things that could happen in 5 minutes in succession? Give me a break, right? But one of the things was, he said, oh, there's a 5 to 10% chance that you get this cranial fluid leak, and then your recovery is going to be much more painful and much more difficult. And he said, there's a 5 to 10% chance you're going to lose your sense of smell permanently. And I said, could I have the brain leak? He said, this is not a choice, right? But I was talking to a friend, and I was explaining what I just said to you, and she goes, John, those are great odds. 90 to 95%, those are great odds. And I said, not as good as staying home on Friday. If I never go to the hospital, it's a 0% chance I will not lose my sense of smell. But thinking about that, just the idea, I've literally been stopping to smell the roses this week. I mean, I've been smelling flowers and smelling my dog's head. I love to smell my dog's heads. And smelling biscuits. Because I just want to make sure, just in case, that if those are my last times, I want to make sure I get them and appreciate them. They're not probably going to be my last, but they could be. And that would be true whether I was having surgery or not. It could be true for me. That's the heart of this. This is not about me facing some obstacle. It's about all of us realizing how sacred this moment is. If you are alive right now, and I'm assuming you still are, there's a very slightly less than 100% chance you will be alive in the future. Now, that shouldn't depress you. It should wake you up. Last night, I went to see the Indigo Girls in concert, and you may know who that is, you may not. But my wife and I went together, and we went to the Indigo Girls concert 26 years ago on our very first concert date. And so we were tired, we had a lot going on, but we had gotten these tickets, and we said, we're going to go. Now, we have seen the Indigo Girls a dozen times at least. We know every song, every nuance, all that. And we're sitting there, and we're singing the words we sang dozens of times, right? The less I seek my source for some definitive, the closer I am to find. We sang it, and we were celebrating. And I remember thinking while we were singing, boy, this is so great. I want to go, I can't wait till we can do this again when I'm through all this. It's going to be great. And then I stopped and said, wait, you don't know you're going to do this again. Something may happen to you, God forbid, or your wife, or the band may break up or something, but you're here, so sing, right? And so I did. And it was beautiful. I read to you from that journal, and I'm going to read to you again. Marcus Aurelius, again, a Roman emperor you wouldn't expect these thoughts from, but he says, forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone and remember it. Each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The rest has already been lived or is impossible to see. The span we live is small. Small is the corner of the earth in which we live it. And that smallness is the secret. This cup of coffee, this time with your dog, this day with your child, this wrestling with pain that you have in your stomach. You're going to do a lot of things really soon, and you're doing them right now that appear quite normal because you're used to them. Things that you no longer see, things you take for granted, things you're even annoyed by because they seem like burdens, tasks, and activities that seem so mundane and uneventful, but only because you're used to them, right? It's easy to assume that you'll get to do them again or experience them again or see those people again, but you may not. So this may be your last cup of coffee, your last night sleeping next to someone you love, your last family dinner, your last time embracing your child, your last Little League game or dog walk or last kiss or sunset or breath. And since few of these moments are going to come with a message telling you this, I'm telling you right now. Because one day there will be a cold cup of coffee that we don't get to drink. So savor the one in front of you. Savor every breath. I've given a lot of messages here in the past. Some of them were better than this. Some of them were worse than this. But I can't do anything about those. And I'm supposed to speak here on October 31st, I think. I'm hoping I'll get to do that. I'm hoping you'll be here, but I don't know. So I'm giving this message right now. Stay here. Be present. Now, now, now.